Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair. And today we're checking out kind of a rare SG. This is a 2013 Gibson SG 60s Tribute in ebony. Let's have a look. So I picked this one up locally, and it's the time of year where people are trying to sell stuff to get some money for Christmas. So if you're watching the market, you can get some pretty good deals a lot of the time. This one came in a really nice fitted like flight case for an SG. So let's have a look here. Yeah. So yeah, this one's a 2013 60s Tribute SG. And these are pretty cool. They've got some unique specs. So they were kind of marketed as a budget guitar, but they've got some really nice higher end specs on here. It's almost like a Gibson SG Special kind of series with a gloss finish, or like the faded series, but also with the gloss finish. So the big selling feature of this one is it's supposed to be made sort of to Gibson 60s SG specs, but these ones have a Burstbucker 1 and a Burstbucker 2 in there. So those are some really nice pickups. It didn't come with a pickguard stock, so this pickup was added afterwards, actually. I talked to the previous owner, and he actually had this pickguard custom made, along with another one that's in the case here. And the finish is called a vintage gloss. So it looks to be kind of a thinner gloss finish. Like you can see the grain of the wood. And it's just a little bit thinner of a finish than you see on like normal SGs or Les Pauls. So that's kind of cool. We've got a three-way switch, the reflector top hat knobs. It's got a stop bar tailpiece, tune-o-matic bridge with pickup rings, and a really nice dark rosewood fingerboard. This one has jumbo frets, medium jumbo. It's got a black Corian nut. We've got our 60s Tribute truss cover on there with the Gibson decal and crown. And this model actually came with the option of the mini tune tuners. I think that was an upgrade option. Thankfully this one doesn't have it. I really don't like those tuners. I think most of them get swapped out these days. And it's got a really nice, like, exaggerated carve. Sometimes on these SGs the carve is not quite exaggerated enough like the older models used to be. But this one looks nice. There's a look at our heel carve there. It's more of the flatter one rather than the shelf. And it's got a 60s neck profile. Again, you can kind of see that vintage gloss again. It's kind of not buffed up as shiny as some of the other gloss guitars too. You can kind of see some like pitting in the finish and some like orange peel type of effect. And this one has the Grover tuners, and there's our serial number. Shows it's made in 2013 on the 4th day of the year, and the batch number is 562. And it's in really nice shape actually. There's no big scrapes or dings. I mean, there's a few if you really look. But it's kind of it's a black guitar, so it sort of shows everything. But overall, it's in quite nice shape. I really like the really dark fingerboard as well. And let's have a look at that. Yeah, this is a look at the other pickguard that came with it. So apparently these were both custom made, because this model did not come with a pickguard. And it's got kind of that abalone-like look to it. And on the back it says pickguards.com. So yeah, looks to be like a really nice guitar. It plays really nice just as I bought it. I don't think I'll need to do much of a setup on it. But let's go ahead and get it on the bench and get some of the parts and specs. It's got a nice weight, weighing in at 6 pounds, 12.4 ounces, or 3.74 kilograms. And it does sit well on a strap. It does want to neck dive a little bit, but if you had a grippier strap or a thicker strap, it shouldn't be a problem. It basically stays where it should, but it wants to go down just a little bit. And these are the Burstbucker 1 and 2 pickups. These are higher end pickups, usually reserved for like the Les Pauls and stuff, like the standards. So it's nice to see on this like more budget-friendly model. The Burstbucker 1 and 2s have the Alnico 2 magnets, and they're modeled after like the classic PAF style pickup from Gibson. So the bridge, the 2 is reading a 7.82, and the 1 is a little hotter. It's reading an 8.13, and the middle is a 5. It's dancing around a little bit. A 4.9. Keeps going down. We should wiggle this a little bit. A 5.75. And let's have a look at our pickups. So in the neck pickup, yes, indeed a Burstbucker 1, and it's dated to 2013. And our pickup cavity looks like it's well routed, and you can see our neck tenon there, and it's marked ES. And then our bridge pickup is marked the Burstbucker 2, it's dated to 2013, and then we can see our factory rating in there. It's a nice clean route as well, and it says SGTR6, so SG Tribute 60s. And here's a look at our 2-pneumatic bridge. It's branded API, and it's got the Nashville style mounting system, and the tailpiece appears to be full weight, and it's branded Advanced Plating Incorporated. I really like the pickguard on this. It really gives it a really nice look, kind of elevates it from the no pickguard look. It looks more expensive and just kind of got more style. It looks more like a 60s SG for sure. But the one criticism I have on this pickguard, so this was ordered from pickguards.com, but if you look at the spacing, now I'm not sure if the old ones used to have it like this or not, or if it's just kind of a weird choice on the manufacturer's side, but see how this one screw is very close to the edge of the pickguard, and this one's about a 1/4 inch in. This one's a little bit closer than that one, so there's kind of no rhyme or reason to how they spaced the screws. But yeah, it looks good. You'd have to be really up close and looking for issues to notice that, really. And here's a look underneath the pickguard. So yeah, it's just like the rest of the body, but you do have those pickguard holes. You could do it without the pickguard, but you probably have to fill and color match those holes to make it look all right, because they're pretty glaring. And I was just researching the specs on this, so it looks like the knobs have been replaced. The originals had like the black speed knobs. I do like these top hat reflector knobs better. I think it matches the guitar better. It's more 60s too. And the original did have a poker chip, but it looks like it's been removed. And here's a look at the electronics. So it's using the PCB system here, and it's got full-size Gibson pots. Some people will take these out and put it back to like hand-wired. I mean, I really think it sounds about the same. The only difficult part is if you're having issues, it's hard to replace the parts if you have this style system. So I would say leave it until you have an issue, and then maybe go back to the hand-wired if you want. Yeah, it's really easy to switch pickups and stuff like this if they have the quick connect system too. So you can always put these pickups back to stock by simply stripping the wires and removing the quick connect, and then you can hand wire them using the same pickups as well. But yeah, this all looks original, and it looks to be well routed as well, and the pickup cover fits in there just perfectly. Sometimes they're too tight, sometimes there's a gap, this one's about perfect. And here's a look at our 60s Tribute truss cover. And the truss rod looks to be in very good shape with no thread showing, so lots of room for adjustability. And just taking a quick look at the condition. The headstock's in really nice shape, no dings or scratches, and the frets are in really good shape. There's no signs of fret wear, and they're very nice and polished, and really good QC on this guitar. There's no tooling marks on the fretboard at all, and the rosewood is really nice and dark. It's got the acrylic inlays, the medium jumbo frets, and it's a black guitar, so if you hold it in the light you can see very small indentations and scratches in the surface. That one's from the poker chip that used to be on there. Some picking scratches on the pick guard, but for the most part it's in really nice condition. I noticed a couple little impressions on the side here. And I really like this gloss vintage finish. It's just a little bit thinner than the normal gloss finish. You can really see the grains of the wood. You can even kind of feel it a little bit. And on the back there's just a few little evidence of wear marks, some scratches, a few little impressions. On the side here we've got a few little dings that go through the finish by the cavity plate, but overall very nice shape for this guitar. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up to my preference, and then we can check the setup and then plug it in and see how it sounds. Alright, this guitar came to me very well set up. I barely had to do anything on it. The action was right where I like it, and I just had to adjust the intonation a tiny little bit and the pickup heights, but very, very minor stuff. So using my notch straight edge, you can see that there's very little relief in the neck. There's a very small gap between the straight edge and the fingerboard, so that means the truss rod's set nice and tight, which is how I like it. And then over here in the 3rd fret, you can see that when I use the 3rd fret, that the string is almost resting on top of that 1st fret. So that tells me we've got really nice action here in the cowboy chord area, and the truss rod is tight and the nut is cut very well. And then here in the 12th fret area, using a depth gauge, we can see on the low E it's sitting at about 0.75 millimeters, so nice and low. And it's about the same on the high E, so about a 0.75. So yeah, very nice low action. Alright, I'm just going to go through the whole neck to see if there's any buzzing or fretting out anywhere. I like to speed up this part, but if you want to hear it in real time, just slow down your player to 25%. So yeah, very nice low action and no buzzing or fretting out anywhere. The neck feels really comfortable. It's a 60s style neck, so it's a little thin for my taste. I got bigger hands. I prefer like 50s or chunkier necks, but it still feels comfortable. And this guitar is really, really resonant. It really vibrates when you play it. You can really feel it in your like chest if you're putting your chest against the guitar, and it seems to vibrate everywhere. And it sounds nice acoustically as well. And it really does ring out for a long time. Alright, let's get some neck specs. Width at the nut is a 1.69 or a 43.05 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that's a 52.26 millimeters or a 2.05 inches. Neck depth at the 1st fret is a 0.84 inches or a 21.35 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that is a 22.59 millimeters or 0.88 inches. So here's the neck profile. It starts out nice and rounded C-like, but it does flatten out a little bit by the 12th fret. And the neck does feel good. I like the width. I wish it was a little chunkier, but that's just me, that's my preference. But the vintage gloss feels nice and smooth. It doesn't feel sticky. And there's no fret sprout at all. It feels good. Let's plug it in and see how it sounds. I'm plugged into my 1965 Fender Bassman. Here are my settings. And I'm just going to run this clean through each position and then with a little bit of dirt. For my overdrive, I'm going to be using a Jim Jones GTO. It's a germanium overdrive. And I'm mic'd up using an SM57 on one of the 212 cabs, and I'm using a condenser overhead for the room. I'm also using a Strymon Flint for just a little bit of reverb. So I've never tried a Burstbucker 1 and 2 in a SG before, and it sounds really good in this guitar. Usually on the bridge pickup in SG, it's really shrill. You kind of roll down the tone to deal with that, but this one you don't really have to. It sounds really good as is, and it's just nice and clear and articulate. It sounds really good. All right, let's try it with a little bit of dirt. right, so final thoughts on the 2013 Gibson SG 60s Tribute. Yeah, it's a great SG. It's super nice and light. It's got minimal neck dive, just a tiny little bit. Again, that can be mitigated if you've got a thicker strap or a stickier strap. And it feels great to play. I really like the super dark fingerboard on this example. That's nice. The medium jumbo frets feel very easy to play, and the frets are nice and well polished. Super level, got really nice low action on this. And the neck feels a little small for my liking. I prefer like a bigger, chunkier neck. 60s is getting a little too small for me, but this particular one feels quite nice. Very comfortable for me still. And I really like the vintage gloss on the guitar. The neck feels nice and smooth, not too sticky. And the vintage gloss seems to be kind of like a thinner finish. You can even see like the pores of the wood easier and almost feel them too. It's so thin. And the guitar is super resonant. It really vibrates when you play it, and it's got really good sustain. I love the burstbucker 1 and 2s in an SG. It really tames some of that higher end on the bridge. Just sounded like a darker SG. These Alnico 2 PAF style pickups are really great. They're super clear and really great clean, but they also handle dirt really well too. Again, this one's been modified a little bit. It had a pickguard added, which I think looks really nice. It looks like a 60s style SG. And these were custom made pickguards from pickguards.com. And then these top hat reflector knobs kind of just round out the look too. I really prefer those than the stock speed knobs that would have been on it. And again, the poker chip is just missing from this one. It's kind of just a cosmetic choice from the previous owner, but I like the way it looks. It looks very clean. And this guitar is in really nice shape. Not a lot of scratches or dings. I did showcase in the video a few spots where there was some, you know, rash that goes to the wood in a couple different spots. But overall, this is a very clean guitar. Nothing that affects playability. It's got that really cool black Corian nut stock, which I like. And this one has the Grover machine heads. This guitar comes in a really nice SG fitted flight case as well. I really like this guitar, but the only thing is the neck is not to my preference. I mean, it's very comfortable even with larger hands, but I do have an SG with a larger neck that I just prefer a little bit. If you're interested in this guitar, I'm going to have it up for sale on the Reverb. But other than that, thank you for tuning into Beckler Guitars and Repair, and I'll have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot.